My name is Debbie Prediger, and I am an empowerment coach and business strategist. The talk that I'm doing today is called Choose Calm. And I really wanted to help people understand that whether we're talking about emotional health, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and well being, we really are choosing it. And I love that our previous speakers really spoke about awareness and mindfulness and being intentional, because that's where it starts. And so my story started a long time ago in a place where I didn't feel like I had a lot of choice. I was running life from lack and of needing to do more, needing to be more, needing to please more. And when you're coming from that place in your life, not only energetically, but emotionally, you're really running in this doing mode. And eventually health and well-being suffers. So if you can imagine a time in your life, or maybe you're a kid that did this, where we called them burnouts. We put the gas and the brake on at the same time on the car, and we sped it up really good, and then we let go of the brake and you catapulted forward. Or maybe you just actually stayed stuck and just burned the tires off, or the the tread off your tires. There's a time in my life that that's exactly what was happening. I had the brake and the gas on so hard that I was spinning my wheels. I was overwhelmed. I was burnt out. My adrenals had shut down. And because of that, my entire body started to break down. Doctors, specialists couldn't figure it out. We did all the tests, all the prodding, and probing. And just to mention, I am actually a retired nurse. So at that time, I was also in the healthcare world. And so we knew all the things to do. We couldn't find the answer. Now, I actually had a doctor say, it's all in your head. And I want to say that at that point, it really felt like a judgment, like there was something wrong with me, right? I'd rather have something physically wrong with me than it being in my head, because the stigma was, well, then I can't fix it. If it's something wrong with my head, my mental health, then I'm out of control. And that is definitely not what I wanted. So thank goodness all things happen for us, not to us, that I couldn't take the medication that that doctor wanted me to take. I said, oh, like medication really can send me for a loop and often reacts the opposite of what it's supposed to. So something that should calm me down would hyper me, or something the opposite. And so he said, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I've given this pill to my 90-year-old mother, and it was fine. And I'd heard things like this before, and I didn't really trust it, but I was at the end of my rope. And so I took that pill. And honestly, I'm not against pills. I love them. They have their thing. But I knew, intuitively, I knew that there had to be a better way. So within 3 minutes of taking that pill, I was so looped out that I couldn't even think straight. And unfortunately, I had believed him, and I was driving at the time. So I just pulled over on the side of the road, phoned somebody and said, come and get me. And now I'm at that pivotal point in my life where the line is drawn in the sand and I have to figure it out. I was already in a brace in my neck. My legs weren't working anymore. There was so much happening in my physical body, and I needed to figure out what was going on. So thank goodness I found energy work. And I also found out that emotions are meant to be in motion. And because I had been a people pleaser, because I was in do it mode, because I felt worthy when I was doing for others, I actually had emotions stuck in my body, locked in my body like a plugged up drain, stuffing and stuffing and stuffing and stuffing because Debbie always came last. Other people always came first. So my body had been for years sending me messages of helping me understand what is really going on here, what is being asked to have some attention and some self-love and some self-value and worth put on that. So thank goodness I am that person that is a geek. I love to understand what's truly going on because after my very first energy healing session, where I had already been months and months and months with the regular or Western medicine system, couldn't figure it out. One session with energy work, and I stood up tall and free and light and pain-free for the first time in probably 5-6 years. Now, I was really good at stuffing my emotions. I was really good at ignoring my pain. So most people had no idea that I was in pain, but my dentist knew because my teeth were clenched so tight all the time because of the pain that ran down my back, over my shoulders, and right down through my back. If I had a massage done, they would say things like, "Wow, you're tight today." And I would have to do the hot stone massage where I laid on the hot stones first before they could even get in there to tighten up. So you can see how could energy be moving through my body? I was restricted in every possible way. My energetic, my physical, my emotional, everything was clamped down. I had the brake and the gas on at the same time. And I finally had to decide what was going to happen in my life. So I love that they talked about being aware because you could see I wasn't being aware. I was actually distracting myself. I was distracting myself from the pain. I wasn't listening to my body. And my emotions started to like show up in bursts. There was things like somebody would say something and I'd just be angry, or I'd be so hurt that it literally hurt my chest. And they'd say, "Well, that's not what I meant." But do you see, our thoughts create our emotions, and the meaning we put to life's experiences is what creates our thoughts. So that line was drawn in the sand, and it was a beautiful time in my life. Things are happening for us, and I can look back now and I can see that finally I was done distracting myself from the symptoms, that my emotions were truly my North Star, and they were asking me for love, for acceptance, for attention, and that I truly did matter. So I changed everything. Instead of running from my emotions, it became that invitation to, ooh, what is this showing me? So at that time, when I drew my line in my sand and I said, here's the emotions I never want to feel again. And here's the emotions that I absolutely love and invite into my life. And those emotions at that time were things like hope and gratitude, and to feel blessed and to feel loved and valued, and that I mattered and I'm respected. And there was a lot, and I'd list them out and I'd read them every day. And very soon, everything shifted. I started with things like, I am grateful. I am loved. I am peace. I am calm. And believe me, I did not believe any of those things at that time in my life. But I continued to use this ritual until my mind and my spirit believed it together in unity. And that's really what I'm here to talk to you about today. That if we use our emotions as that awareness point, where am I at and where do I want to go? Because if they're not congruent, if they're not aligned, if they're not in homeostasis, if those two things aren't the same, then we have an invitation to do something, right? If you look at your gas gauge in your vehicle and it's running on empty, we don't say, oh, that stupid gas gauge, it's running on empty. No, we just fill it back up. So if our emotions are too far in the sadness and the hopelessness and the uninspired, unenergetic way, we're not mad at it. It's just what is there here to learn? And if it's running too hard the other way, where we actually have to say, okay, like we need some energy here. Let's get some excitement. What stirs up excitement? Sometimes we have to create drama in our life in order to actually get energized. So if we just start looking at emotions as that guiding light of telling us what is it that we truly, where are we at, and what do we truly desire, things shift. We become the observer. We become the observer of our soul. Our soul is speaking to us. Our bodies are speaking to us. I'm going to take you through a 60-second reset. And what this reset does is, remember that when I told you about being a stuffer and a stuffer and a stuffer and distracting yourself with busyness, or somebody talked about it earlier with foods or TV or alcohol or gambling or anything that doesn't serve you, even going to the exercise gym, we can do too much of it, right? So anything that's a distraction from you truly living the life that you would love. Energized, excited, passionate, in that flow state where everything's working and you really are resilient and flexible, where your emotional intelligence is conscious, aware, but not alert. That's the state that we're all looking for. So when I talk to you about stuffing, that's over time, right? It might have started when you were a child and maybe you had something that was a traumatic experience, or possibly your brain told you that this was a time that you were in grave danger and that it is a traumatic experience, but your soul actually knows that your brain just perceived it wrong. Now, I'm not minimizing anybody's events, but I've learned over time that there's many times that our perception and our meaning that we put on a life experience isn't really true, and that our inner wisdom is actually trying to come out and tell us the truth of that event, so that we can see things from an empowering point of view versus a disempowering point of view. So awareness of where you're doing that. So the stuffing and stuffing and stuffing happens over time, but here's a 60-second reset for something that literally happened right now. I'm going to use the same thing that Leah talked about. Somebody cut you off in traffic. We've all had that happen. Maybe we're mad because we're in a hurry and somebody cut us off, or maybe we're really triggered because we just had our life flash before our eyes and that person was dangerous driving. They had no reason to be on the road, and that pissed me off. Now any emotion is right. But whatever that emotion, whether it pissed you off, whether it made you fearful, whether it literally took you back to another moment in your life where something like that happened, but I'm inviting you to actually feel into it. So not distract yourself from it, to feel in and allow it to become so intense in your body that it's truly real. Like this could have happened 3 seconds ago. This could have happened yesterday, but it's not something that's already locked in your body. So bring that to your awareness, focus in. Yep, I got it. Where in your body are you feeling it? Feeling it right here in my jaw. Some of you will feel it in your fear center. Some of you feel it on your shoulders. Just identify through awareness, where are you feeling it? So while I feel it in my jaw, I've identified that. What is the emotion I'm actually feeling? I'm going to name that emotion so that I can see it like the bully in the room. So for me, it's anger. Like it literally come out in anger. How dare that person put my life into danger? And now we use the essential oils. So this essential oil blend is actually going to unlock that limbic system in your brain where we can go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. So 1 drop of stress away, 1 drop of lavender, and 1 drop of frankincense. And I pre-mix them in a bottle. And all I'm doing is dropping 1 drop. Sometimes they come fast, sometimes they come slow, no judging. Put it in the palm of my hands and breathe 3 slow, deep breaths. Now, I already told you where I felt my emotion. It was in my jaw. So I'm going to breathe this oil and envision it going right into my jaw. In through the nose, pushing the yuck out. In with the good, out with the dark energy. As you take these breaths, recognize what's happening through that awareness, not a judgment, just an awareness of what's truly happening in our bodies. Did it release from the jaw? Did it move down into your throat? Is it on your shoulders? Is there any other tweaks and energy being stuck somewhere? Just breathe for that 60 seconds. Now, most people at about 40 to 45 seconds, you can see everything in their body shift. Kids take about 15 to 20 seconds for this to work. If you have that child that really has temper tantrums or triggered emotions that just snap like that, they will soon be asking for their own little bottle to carry around. Or you can have them in an inhaler where they literally put them up their nose and inhale and shift their emotions. Now, why do I do this? Number 1, because I had emotions stuffed down so long that my physical body needed to tell me desperately there was something wrong. And I never want anyone else to get to that place. But I'm also a big advocate for empowering you to live the life you'd love. As an empowerment coach and business strategist, what I do every day is help leaders really find where there's an incongruency, where life isn't in that flow state, in that homeostasis where everything's flowing and they're flexible and you're able to do that dance and it just feels wonderful. So that is why I do what I do, and it's so important. And I love you, Anna. Thank you so much.